What's going on, YouTube? Thanks for tuning into the channel. Welcome to Oh So Simplified, coming to you with a video here about taking opportunities and the fear of success. As always, like, comment, subscribe. If you dislike, you can dislike, leave some negative comments. Any feedback will do, and let's jump into this one. As I always mention, these particular topics come directly from things that are happening within my life. I'll tie into really where this comes from for me, because it'll kind of be something of what I'm launching down the pipe in the next, coming weeks and months. But the first point is, taking the opportunities that are presented to you. What this really means is when things start to happen, when you start to move in a direction that's, within what you desire or towards what you desire, and you are, taking the dedicated action, thinking, envisioning, really imagining what it would be like to be the person that does that, things will start to appear and come into your life. Now, a lot of the times I would say how you know when these opportunities are there would be what a lot of people call like a gut feeling. Now, this gut feeling is not always going to be like, okay, this is right, this is perfect, it's perfect timing, everything fits right in. I would say in general what you're going to feel is more excitement, a little bit of fear, and also a bit of like knowingness. So this is where I will tie in what just happened to me. If you've been watching the channel, I've definitely talked about last year. I really kind of went through a rough period of time where I was laid off. I was really kind of questioning what I'm doing, trying to find a job, but I did want to take a break because, I've been working, and throughout the pandemic a lot of things happened. I digress. Basically, I took my first two amateur fights. I've been training mixed martial arts, and continuing on, I've had an additional 2 more fights. Just 2 weeks ago, I had one of my fights, and basically after that fight, I was offered to fight for a promotion that's relatively big. Like, people in the fight world would recognize the name LFA. That generally it's a pro card. I'll be fighting amateur once again, but essentially it's a pretty big audience. They're the biggest feeder organization for the UFC. The competition is going to be a lot higher than what I've fought in the past. But immediately when I was offered this, I just kind of felt it was right. Now, I was excited, I was fearful. One, it's a lot different protocols. I have to do a lot of responding to get everything straight. I've accepted, if you didn't know. The person I'm fighting is, I have a wrestling base. This guy is way more decorated as a wrestler in both high school and at the college level, so it'll be a lot more of a test as well, but something about it felt right. Now, in my particular case, I keep talking about how I want to transition from my current career to more of an online business, YouTube career, and a lot of what I have been imagining as one of the main types of channels or brands that I want to create is around a fitness lifestyle with a bit of that mixed martial arts twist to it to kind of niche it down to a particular demographic. And with this, it's like I get an opportunity now to perform on a stage in front of a ton of people that would be the demographic that I'm actually looking for to be interested in what I'm doing. And before I really had all the details, I just said yes. I'm really right back into camp. There's actually going to be a fight on August 2nd, so you guys will probably be able to watch if you're interested. I'll definitely have links and information as I post things on, but really that initial gut feeling of excitement that, like, okay, this is going to be on a way bigger stage, way bigger competition. How is it going to play out? How am I going to make this work? How am I going to get in shape? And also the fear of the negative side that could potentially happen with all these things, but the knowingness that for whatever reason, it's like this just feels like the stepping stone towards the direction of what I need to do. And in our society, we don't really talk about things like that. We're really focused on materialistic things you can point out, things you can verify. But there is something that you have to understand or feel that is connected to the larger source of things happening, that you kind of have that intuition or know what's right. And everybody's had that experience. And this is an experience that I feel like I'm going through where I really feel like this is right. And just being aware when those opportunities present themselves, when you're doing things towards a particular direction, to take those opportunities, not to shun away from that fear or excitement or gut feeling that you get. The second piece is going to be the fear of success. So this actually can be put in both ways, fear of failure or fear of success. The reason why I phrased it this way is particularly, once again, because it's something that I'm kind of having to confront within me. And with this idea is that sometimes as these things happen, you see the opportunity, but you get scared. And this can lead to one of two things. One, you pass up the opportunity, don't take the opportunity. When the opportunity comes, you kind of perform in an awkward way. I don't really have, the latter is not really a concern for me, but I'll explain it for anybody listening. The first is more where I would say that I might just not do it. But once I'm in it, I'm usually in it to win it. But fear of success. When I basically got this information that this was going to happen, now, I didn't sign the contract until a couple days ago, but I kind of knew that it was basically going to happen for almost 2 weeks at this point. I basically found out the next day that it was offered and I accepted. I basically shot this particular video multiple times because I wanted to post it, but then I start to shy away from the idea of, if I double down on this, people that I know are going to find out about what I'm doing. If I do this, I'm now going to have to deal with criticisms and what other people believe. Now I'm also going to have to deal with the idea that I have to keep it up because you don't want to be just a flash in the pan. And it actually led me to be less active than when things seemingly were not happening, which is it throwing a wrench in the flow of making things happen. You want to stay consistent, you want to stay doing things, but it's not always that you're scared that what you're doing is not going to work. It's like, what if it works and I can't hold up the image after it works? And I think that that's also something to consider, that might just be something you need to check within yourself when these types of opportunities happen. If you feel like you're not taking advantage of them, or if you're indecisive, maybe it's something where you just need to actually take the opportunity, and the thing that you're using to talk yourself out of it is the fear of actual success, not so much the failure. And I think a lot of times people like to talk about failure and my failure led to my successes, but sometimes it's like being aware of your own, not to be cliche, like greatness, and stepping into your own greatness and moving towards that is just as hard as wondering whether or not you're great enough. So in that set, it's like you need to feel the fear and do it anyways. There's a book of that title by somebody I think called Susan Jeffers. The whole book is basically defines the title, so I basically described it there. It's like when you have those fears, don't look at those, as I mentioned before, as deterrents. Those are indicators that you should move in that direction, and understand that it is just factual that as you reach new levels, as you do new things that you desire, generally, if it's increasing in terms of what it's bringing back to you, there's going to be new pressures that are associated with that. As you fly up in an airplane, the air pressure changes. So as you go into different levels of anything, the pressure will change. So if you are going to a new level, if you're bringing on new things, you have to understand that there will be new pressures. It is completely understandable to be somewhat apprehensive of the fear of success or failure to that extent, but I think that's heavily discussed. But once again, to feel the fear and do it anyways. And a lot of the times, this is the question I ask myself, is always like, what's the alternative? Like, I'm scared to do this thing, or I have apprehensions to do this thing, but what's the alternative? I don't really have an alternative. Or the alternative is this thing that I've convinced myself is super conservative and a safer bet, if you will. However, you really never know how any of your plans will play out. So a lot of the times, things that would be quote unquote a safer bet, that is like a unjustified conclusion in itself. And why I bring that up for myself is that, with this whole fighting thing, and then thinking about, creating a YouTube channel and trying to create my own business, to a lot of the people that at this point I don't really talk about it anymore. That's for two reasons. One, for what I'm going to describe now, that people don't get it, but two, I also think that deters you from your goal itself. But people don't understand why I would want to do that. Like, the career I'm in, if I like double down, triple down into this career, I can make boatloads of money. But the career itself, for me, at a certain level, is just like not fulfilling. Like, I would much rather spend my time, working out, training mixed martial arts. There's other things I would like to engage in, specifically with yoga, and in terms of the brand and lifestyle thing, I would want it to be something that I could transition. At this stage of my life, for the next 5 to 7 years, maybe I'm heavily focused on mixed martial arts, but then maybe as I reach later years, I'm more interested in something else. And then this is a type of avenue, by this, like YouTube businesses or businesses that are endemic to something like this. It's something that I can just monetize my lifestyle. That's the ultimate goal, that I can do what I like and find a way for that to bring me money to subsist. And I'm much more interested in that, and then just making money doing something that really isn't bringing me satisfaction. Now, this is something that maybe a lot of people don't understand. Why would get in a cage and fight? How does that fulfill you, and things like that? But it's like, one, I don't think you need to necessarily know why, but two, living that safer life, who says that's going to play out better? And maybe that causes stress and missed years and years that you feel of regret where you didn't use your body. For example, for this, like, I can't wait 10 years to do this. This is the last time that my body's going to be this fresh where I can get in a cage and beat some dude's ass. Like, in my 40s, it's not going to be the same, but I digress on that piece. So that's really the second piece, is the fear of success and understanding that with new levels there are new pressures. The fear is understandable. Feel it, do it anyways. And it's not always that you're scared of it failing. Sometimes you're scared of it succeeding. But from the fear of failure perspective, even your most perfectly laid out plans that seem super conservative, that you've learned from everybody else, there is no guarantee those will work out anyway. And with that, I'm going to talk about jumping into the unknown. So with jumping into the unknown, that's really where all of the new things that you've never experienced are going to happen. You're not going to be able to predict them. Don't know how they're going to happen. Like, I couldn't have predicted that LFA would reach out specifically for an amateur fight, since they don't really have a lot of amateur fights on their card. They must be having something new. It aligned with what I was doing. Somehow our paths and signals got crossed. I get this opportunity. And instead of shying away and being nervous, it's like, I need to double down and do what I need to do. Now, this is something I'm also imploring to you. As you get these opportunities, as these things start to fall into place, really embrace the idea of some new things are going to happen that are going to bring a lifestyle and, rewards that are going to be a lot more beneficial and are going to outweigh in far greater amounts than the temporary discomfort of jumping into the unknown and being nervous about whether you succeed or fail. Because at the end of the day, when you think about life and what life is all about, you only get one life to live, and you want to be the person that you want to be. You want to live the life that you want to live. And I'm very committed personally to making that happen. Like, at this point in my life, it's like, when am I going to make it happen if now is not the time? And when I look at certain people's lives, and I'm even just talking about strangers, I commute to New York multiple times a week, and you can see on the train people like stuffing themselves in like sardines, walking mindlessly to a job that it does not seem like they enjoy, and things of that sort. And it's like, is that life? Is that really what you want to do? Is that really how you want to spend your time? And when you do have a vision of what you want to do, really committing yourself towards that vision making that happen, having the faith that it will happen, the gratitude that things are happening even though you can't necessarily see them, and committing to that and making that happen and doing that every day. And that's really where I am, is that I'm going to have a lot of things that are coming down the pipe, you know, kind of gearing up for this, but using this as the catalyst to push me forward. And, you know, using anything within your power, getting scrappy in that sense, that you want to use things to push you forward, to make things happen. But that's really it for this one. It's really just all about taking opportunities and not being nervous about the fear of success or the fear of failure, and then also just jumping into the unknown, stepping into the fire, living a life that you want to live, not a life of quiet desperation, as I believe Thoreau said, that I feel like most people live, and committing to that vision, having gratitude that you know, things are happening in their process, and faith everything will work out in the end. If you like the content, like, comment, subscribe. If you didn't like, dislike, leave some negative comments. Any feedback will do. And until next time, peace out, and you'll see some things coming out the pipe, new channels on the way. Peace.